Talking about the Office suite, talking about co-pilots, what does a solid game plan look like if you're setting out to deploy and maintain co-pilots safely?
Sure. I think number one is like you got to do an assessment, like an honest assessment. We call it a Varonis of your blast radius, which is pick a random employee, figure out how much data and systems they have access to. If the answer to that is like way too much, you don't want to jump the gun,
Yeah.
because once you turn it on and it ingests all that data that all those people have access to, you can't undo that. That's not something that there's even the capabilities for that to be undone. So once the data gets fed into the models, it's again next to impossible without like restarting your Copilot tenant to undo the data that gets ingested. So one, do an assessment, figure out where you are. Two, build a test plan. But I want that test plan to be twofold. Build a test plan for finding the flaws, like searching for passwords or
Right.
financial data, like thinking
Right.
like a pen tester would, but also build a test plan for finding the good. Make sure that you're spending time coaching your employees, or someone is, on what's called prompt engineering, which
Yeah.
is how to have intelligent conversations with the Copilot. Make sure you're holding user groups within your own company or even in your vertical to determine how other people are using Copilots. As a lot of innovation comes from two people being faced with the same problem and trying to solve it in a different way, and then coming back together and realizing that a little bit of person A and a little bit of person B and maybe a little bit of Copilot
Yeah.
gets you to the best place.
Well, and some of it is, that your point about queries and understanding how to create queries is really important. And I use Gen AI all the time. And, sometimes I'm in a hurry and I'll use a query and it's like, yeah, what was I thinking? And you just, because the results you get back aren't really at all what you were looking for. And you're like, oh, hey, dummy, and you go back and you fine tune that query, and it's a skill that you learn over time, but that's tremendously important in my experience in getting the right kind of result from Gen AI that you're looking for
Yeah,
in
and
these
much like
co-pilots.
real conversations with people, you should ask follow-up questions. That's another tip I
Yeah.
give when you're in the testing phase. I always come back to I was working on a Lambda function to process some logs, which is a fancy term for a thing in AWS to help me to compute some things. And the first result that I got back from the Copilot, I asked, "Is there a more efficient way to do this?" And I got back a new set of code. I asked the question again, and I got back another new set of code. I asked the question again, and I got back another new set of code. So the Copilot was only iteratively giving me something that was more efficient than the first thing. And